Hello guys, it's ACBlock here, and today I'm gonna make a full series of reinforcement learning, and I want to separate it into several parts where each part explain a little bit about the reinforcement learning. And in this first part, I want to talk about where is it located in the AI area. Let's show you guys. The first, going back to a really foundation question, what is the AI? The AI is kind of like the agent, like they want to make the machine that could has the human intelligence. That's it. Yeah. And in the past, as we've learned from traditional AI algorithm, we've learned lots of algorithms like VFS, DFS, the A star, or kind of like Minimax for the game, right? For kind of like game of two peoples, right? These have their own limitation. Like this is all the rule base, which means like we set the rule, the human set the rule to let the AI know what should follow, what rule should they follow, and they always dream like, how about the AI that could read the data? It's kind of like the data pool, for example. They can read it and they can get the role by themselves, because like in real life situation the data is really a variation. There are lots of variation of data, but they always distribute some role in it, right? For example, like if you can see, like we could draw the graph between the relationship between the age and the income. If we draw it onto the graph, we could clearly see that this graph has, we could see by our eyes, by our brain, that the graph, the more older, the more wealthier, right? But if we getting too old, our income is slowed down, we'll fall back again, right? So as the age getting older, the incomes getting bigger. So what can we do with this graph? This graph is a rule of life. Yeah, we can use it to give decision, right? For example, if we get the people who's 22 years old, we can guess his income is kind of like $3,000. I think that's not true in Vietnam, but it's just an example, okay? So, okay, get back to the AI. So we want to make the AI that could learn the data to get the rule by themselves without a human feeding the rule base, okay? So we created the machine learning. Machine learning is the AI that could learn tons of data to get the role, and they can use the role to do lots of things. So the machine learning, based on the data characteristic, they divide it into two types. The first is supervised learning, and the second one is unsupervised learning. The supervised learning is the data that has its own label. For example, the dog picture, the cat picture, we have the label in here. This is a dog, this is a cat, right? We feed tons of data into the AI, and this AI could learn the role. They learn the role from this data, and then the next time whenever they see any of the picture, they could know that is it a dog or a cat. Yeah, that's supervised learning. For unsupervised learning, we learn the data and we try to see the hidden pattern or the lantern. For example, if we show the data about the age. For example, if I use the red, it means it's kind of young. If it's blue, it means that it's the middle age, right? If we draw, if we use it, it's kind of like the map. For example, if this is a map, we draw this kind of object onto the map like this. We could see that the young people, if we use the AI could know that there's one group 1, there's a group 2. They only know that, and our human mission is kind of explain why there are two groups. That because like maybe here they has lots of university, for example, so that's why the young people who live here more than this area. Maybe this area is kind of like the center, so that lots of middle age they go to this area for work. Yeah, that's it. This is the unsupervised learning, which means like people get the data between the X without any label. Yeah, in this supervised learning we have the X, which means the data, and the Y, which means the label, so that the AI could distinguish, the AI could predict. But in unsupervised learning, we don't have any label in here, we only have the X, and the AI mission is to kind of like trying to find this circle, this hidden pattern, and our human mission is to explain that's hidden, what is it, and why do they have. That's it. So for beginning, we have, this is the AI area, and we are focusing on machine learning, right? And on machine learning, there's a one part that's called reinforcement learning. So what is the reinforcement learning? The actually people say that no, the human, whenever they learn from mistake, which means like, for example, if they ride a bike and sometimes they fall, they could, the fall is the data that fit into the human, is the data. Yeah, and then on the next time whenever they ride, they could fix it later. So yeah, they want to make an AI that could, it's kind of like the agent, that they could interact with the environment, do some action to the environment, and the environment will feed back the data so that the AI could learn by themselves. That is the basic foundation of reinforcement learning. So you can understand like the reinforcement learning like an agent, they trying to do some action to the environment, and the environment they will send back the reward. It's not always the reward, is the reward sometimes means like the punishment if they do bad, or the reward if it does good. And also the environment give back the state, which means the, yeah, the way the environment is change, kind of like that. Yeah, so on reinforcement learning we have three keyword here: the action, aka the H, the state, aka the S, and the reward, aka the R. So that's the foundation of reinforcement learning.